expository exultation, exultation. That is, it is expository, and the preacher simultaneously with the exposition, the bringing out of the meaning of the text, the preacher is exulting over the worth of what he's seeing, what he's bringing out. Or he might be weeping over it. Exultation, I mean to capture an appropriate emotional embodiment of the value of the text, which might be hell or might be heaven. It might be weeping, it might be rejoicing, and the preacher is the embodiment to exult over what that text is saying. And there are several reasons for why preaching must be this way. First, the nature of the good news, the nature of what is being heralded or exposited. Every text, whether it's as practical as practice hospitality, that could be your sermon text, practice hospitality. Every text, rightly understood in its biblical context, is connected to God, connected to Christ, connected to the Spirit, connected to the cross, connected to the living of the Christian life, connected to eternity. And every one of those connections are spectacularly valuable. Or connected to hell and connected to judgment and connected in a way that is weighty and heavy. Which means that the very nature of texts demands that there be an appropriate emotional embodiment of what's here. The text reality calls for it. That's the first implication of exaltation. Here's the second one. The nature of the herald. Me, the preacher, you, the preacher. If a king commissions a town crier, a herald, to take his message, the message of his supremacy, the message of his mercy, his readiness to give amnesty to the people, the message of his heart's desire that people be rescued and not punished, his disinclination to banish any from the kingdom. If that town crier, that herald, delivers that message in a way that contradicts the heart of the king, he's not a faithful herald. He's not. A faithful herald will embody in his whole demeanor, his whole emotion, something like the value of what the king has said he should deliver. So his embodiment, his own personal presentation of the news of the king calls for him to be not bored by what he says. A bored preacher is a lying preacher. He may be saying true words, but he's not communicating true value. And that's what texts are about. They're about reality, and that reality includes the worth of the reality. And if you communicate objective truths about the reality and contradict the value of the reality, you're not a faithful preacher. You're not a faithful herald. So that's a second implication. A third one is that the aim of the heralding, the aim of preaching, demands exaltation over what we've seen by exposition. What's the aim? The aim is that our people would see with the eyes of their heart the value and truth of what's being opened from the text, that they would savor it, see it, savor it, and be transformed by that seeing, as Paul describes in 2 Corinthians 3:18, be transformed by that seeing and savoring into a new kind of person that represents God in the world, right? That's our goal in preaching. We want a new kind of people whose lives are so different from the world and the way it's governed by its principles that people would recognize this is of God here. If that's what we're after, the seeing of glory, the savoring of glory, the living out of glory, we cannot preach in a way that doesn't manifest the fact that we have spiritually seen it. We are spiritually savoring it. We are experiencing the transformation. Otherwise, we're living a contradiction. So the very aim of preaching in bringing about the miracle of seeing and savoring and showing the glory of God in the world demands exaltation over the exposition. So, a couple of concluding thoughts. We must not preach mere expository messages. Why? Because the devil can do that. The devil can explain things. He's real clear about what the Bible teaches. He quotes it. You don't want to do what the devil can do. And here's what the devil cannot do. He can't exalt over what he's seen. Why? He hates it. He's bored stiff by it. So if you want to be demonic in the pulpit, explain things clearly and feel nothing. That's the devil preaching. Well, here's another concluding thought. We don't want to preach messages that are mere exaltation, not rooted in exposition. So please, don't hear me saying, oh, Piper wants us to be worked up, wants us to be emotional, wants us to wave our hands around, lift our voice a lot. No, he doesn't. Piper wants a miracle to happen. He wants you to see such reality in texts and be transformed so mightily by the Holy Spirit that you are experiencing emotions in that. You're not working up emotions by having enough caffeine before you preach. You are seeing reality in texts, and that reality is awakening in you a spiritual emotion or affection or exaltation that's either authentic or it's fake. People will know it's fake. I've seen preachers how to do this. I've seen young men know they're preaching in front of John Piper, and John Piper expects a lot of emotional engagement, and so they're performing it. You don't want to go there. You do not want to go there. You be you. You be your personality. You express things your way. Not my way, your way. But it better be real. You better have seen reality with the eyes of your heart and experience a spiritual awakening over those realities, embody that exaltation, and deliver it in a way the devil never could do. All of which leads us now to realize, whoa, this is supernatural. You're saying that the exposition is the bringing out of reality that you can't even see without the work of the Holy Spirit. That's right. And you're saying that there's a deep heart response to it that cannot happen apart from the Holy Spirit. That's right. That's what I'm saying. And you're saying that what you want to happen in the pew is the same seeing and the same savoring and the same showing through transformation. That's supernatural. That's exactly what I'm saying. Which means, for all these years, I have never believed that preaching is what happens after 30 minutes of worship. Preaching is worship. It's the miracle of worship over the Word. And that's what we'll talk about next time.